If you're an online business owner and you just need a quick and easy guide on how to manage your remote team and how to do the best way to outsource some of the most critical roles and tasks in your online business, this is the perfect video for you. I'm Carla Singson of Proximity Outsourcing, and I have over a decade of experience recruiting, onboarding, and managing remote teams from the Philippines and in Latin America. Over the years, I have hired over 500 managers, specialists, and virtual assistants for fast-growing online businesses, just like the business that you have right now, the one that you're really looking to grow. And I know that there's so many things that people can dump on your plate, so many things that you need to do to grow your business. There's taxes, there's people who want to be affiliates, clients complaining all the time, team members behaving not in a way that you want them to. So there's so many problems. But in this quick and easy guide, I will share my top 17 tips on how to manage remote teams and how to grow your business through outsourcing. Let's start. Number one, hire specialists and managers, not just assistants. You need to stop patching holes and stop reading all of these fairy tales about how I grew my business with virtual assistants. At the end of the day, if you hire an assistant, they will think like an assistant and move like an assistant. If you hire a manager, a specialist, someone who really owns outcomes and someone who takes full accountability of results, that's where things will be so different for you. And you will know, and by how this just feels in your nervous system, you will feel much more motivated, you will feel much more relaxed, and much more ready to grow your business. Tip number two, onboard with intention. Do not just throw people in. A clear onboarding system sets expectations, builds loyalty, and saves you weeks of chaos. So before you onboard someone, make sure that you have all the transition documents, all of the resources that they need, and basically you have a way to lead them and manage them so that they can integrate into your company easily, especially if you have other remote professionals that will be working or supervising this person. Tip number three, define rules and not just hours. You also need to define results along with that. Remote workers thrive when their work is measured by performance and not just presence. In my company, in Proximity Outsourcing, we do time tracking, but let me tell you, it is no one's dream to check all of these hours, all of these time tracking documents. It's just there to align with people's salaries and to align with their attendance and their monitoring. Essentially, if there is something that needs to be checked or needs to be clarified or confirmed, yes, we look at the time tracking documents, but we don't look at it every day and try to track every hour. Next tip, tip number four, create a single source of truth. Use tools like Notion, ClickUp, Airtable to document SOPs and processes. Kill miscommunication before it even starts. People need to know what's assigned to them, what they're responsible for, what's expected of them. And that's really important. So you're not just pinging tasks on Slack, on WhatsApp, on email, and there's just so many things going around. It just makes everything so disorganized. So that would be my advice. Create a single source of truth where you can also track everything and you have a proper timeline for when you gave the task or when the task is supposed to be done versus when the task actually got finished, when someone saw the task and then took action on it. And if someone has any other questions, they can also refer to this single source of truth. Next tip, tip number five, communicate asynchronously first. The best teams don't live on Zoom, so use async updates through Loom, maybe Slack, project boards, so that you can keep working 24/7. And you know what? The best teams, they don't need to work or talk all the time. In fact, I actually said this to one of my clients, the more that your Slack pings, the less work is getting done. Because let me tell you, I've been there. I've been on Slack just gossiping, laughing, talking mindlessly, and then nothing gets done. This is also one of my favorite tips to give busy CEOs. Communicate last. So if you have a to-do list, think about your Slack and your email last. go through your to-do list, do these tasks first before you do your communications tasks. Because sometimes when we're chatting, when we're talking, it really delays stuff getting done because we're just chatting and talking. Think about what it would look like if you are in an office, if you're just hanging out at the pantry, even if you're hanging out with someone that you're working with, that you may have an actual thing to take up with them. If you're just standing there and chit-chatting, then no work actually gets done. So tip number 6, set clear KPIs and scorecards. You know that saying, what gets measured gets managed. It's really important to put everything in writing, what you're expecting from someone, and giving them a particular goal, a particular scorecard that they can shoot for so that they can know how their work is measured. This is also a very good way to acknowledge good work when it actually happens, because now, work, as the word pertains to, like the labor that they're doing, could be properly acknowledged, properly tracked. And once you give praise, then you can give a very specific praise. And actually, studies show that if you give a specific praise and if you acknowledge someone for something specific that they've done, the dopamine hit or the feeling of fulfillment that they get from it is so much higher than something that's vague and something that's super generic. Next is tip number 7, over communicate vision, not tasks. It's really important to tell your team and to repeat with them what your vision is, where you want your business to be in the next 3 to 5 years. You need them to really see the bigger picture so that you can get their buy-in, and you need to show them that you're choosing them for their intelligence, for their potential, for their contribution to this vision, and how every seat in your company is actually so precious in the fulfillment of this vision. If you have this conversation with them early on as you're hiring them, it will be super good for their ego, it will be super good for their confidence, and honestly, they will respect you so much more. Because a leader with a clear vision, with a clear path, that is a leader that a lot of people will want to follow. If you're the type of leader that do not have a clear vision or a clear path, then they will be less motivated to do and own the tasks, the responsibilities, and the results that you're trying to give them. Next tip number 8. This is specifically for remote work and for hiring people in different parts of the world. Respect cultural differences. So as the owner, the CEO, the founder, the top boss, sometimes you hire people from different cultures, from different backgrounds. And so it's really good if you understand these people's backgrounds. A little bit of research could go a long way, and a little bit of really encouraging them to open up and encouraging them to speak up. So I have noticed that I need to approach different people differently, honestly, even if they come from the same country. The mere fact that they come from different backgrounds gives me some nuance on how I should deal with them, how I should talk to them, and find out what really motivates them. Once I have all of that information, it makes it easier for me to lead the team. So on top of that, aside from being comfortable or adjusting to all of the time zone differences, there might also be holidays that are important to them that might not be important to you, but it's a big deal for their culture. So make sure you ask questions about that too. So if you are not working with a company, there is a risk that you might not know all of this, or you might represent something differently, or maybe some statements might come across as not very nice, but they don't know it. They're just, they care about things in a different way. And so these are one of those moments where it's very, very beneficial to work with an agency and a company that knows what they're doing, so that you can have a lot of information. You can ask as many questions as possible when it comes to getting to know that particular culture. In my company, in Proximity Outsourcing, we have client success managers, which are basically your account managers, and you can ask them anything you want, anything that you're curious about in terms of dealing with the culture and the communication cadence. So there's that. Tip number 9, build layers of leadership. The more that your business grows, the more that it should look like a triangle, right? So you have here, there's you, and then you have certain managers that you only talk to. You don't need to talk to the people here every day, although it's obviously very nice if you get to do that. But as your company grows, you will find it very difficult to catch up with everyone. So it's important that you only have a few people that you talk to. People report to these people, and everyone in the organizational chart knows what they're doing, knows who is responsible for this specific thing, And honestly, even though you feel like having an org chart is a little cheesy, it is very important to have everything clarified as early as possible in your business, because honestly, these things help in solving problems in terms of determining accountability. So there are so many times where it would be so easy for us to just fix the problem if we look at the org chart. Like, whose responsibility is this? Whose accountability is this? And then, we make that person solve the problem. So your org chart is not just a cringe thing or a cheesy thing. And honestly, it might be just an internal issue for you. And you might feel like, oh, I'm just a small business. But if you're really looking to grow, you gotta put those big boy pants on and get that org chart sorted. Tip number 10, document wins and lessons weekly. I would advise to keep a running log of what worked and what didn't. It's also good if you have like weekly stand-ups to discuss your wins and your challenges, have everyone learn from each other. Another advice that I can give is have department specific huddles. So my ops team has their own huddle, my HR team has their own huddle, and my CSM team has their own huddle. This is where they share personal experiences of wins and challenges so that they can learn from each other, and you can do a little bit of like peer coaching inside your company. This lessens the burden for you as a leader to have to coach them on everything, and you're also building your management team's coaching skills, which is very, very important once you're growing your business. Tip number 11, trust but verify. Trust your people. Of course, before you hire them, you have to test them, their behavior, their character, do all of the reference checks. But of course, you need to have dashboards and systems where you can see progress and where you can really use to refer or to clarify something. So it's really, really important to give people the benefit of the doubt and to always assume that they want the best interest for your company and that they're operating with their best intention and that they're there to help you out. But it's really also important to be able to have that, what I told you before, a single source of truth, and to be able to verify easily once needed. So tip number 12, regular check-ins. It's really better to do this than doing like a random fire drill or solving a problem after you already lost a client. So if you have weekly structured meetings that have a clear agenda and is predictable, these things create freedom, and these things create opportunities for you to improve your team management, to improve your team regularly. In my company, we have a weekly stand-up that I attend to. All of them have their own stand-ups, like the department stand-up or huddles. And then there's also a daily stand-up with my main management team where they discuss for like 15 minutes at the beginning of the day what is urgent, what needs help, and take that little bit of opportunity to learn from each other, even though it's short, but it just like starts everyone, in a certain way at the beginning of the day, and it just sets the tone for the rest of the day. So once again, it's easier to do this than have the fire drills when something bad already happens and you're just like looking back and trying to correct your SOPs. I'm not saying that those things will not happen, but it's definitely avoidable if you just have these daily or weekly or regular ways to learn from each other and have check-ins. Tip number 13, celebrate wins. It's very, very easy for remote workers to feel invisible or to feel unappreciated. And of course, I think over the course of like decades and maybe even centuries, the way that we approach work is it has always been in person. It has just been in the past 2 decades, I would say, that remote work has started to flourish. And if you really ask about the last 5 years or like since the pandemic, some people did not even know how to work remotely before that. So as a principle and as how humans evolve, working remotely, working in front of your laptop, making a living wage, more than a living wage, just from being in front of a computer is still a relatively new thing. So, and the way that our brains and our bodies have evolved, maybe we haven't caught up yet to like a fully remote work. And one of the practices that's really important is acknowledging good work and recognizing people that stand out, people that deliver way more than what's asked of them. So celebrate small wins. This is really important so that you can keep everyone motivated, and you can also inspire people who may not be working to the standard that you want them to or that they're supposed to. When they see that these people who have been working really well and have been performing really well are acknowledged and recognized properly, that will inspire them. So it could be as easy as have a Slack channel that's just for kudos. So in my company, we call this like kudos corner. People make like a Canva, like congratulations if there's someone that's been shouted out by their client, or if someone made someone else's life easier because of how they helped them. And if someone needs to acknowledge a specific member of the management team, it is where they see it. And honestly, it's like a positive vibe for the company. Even though my company already has like over 100 people, we still do it. We love doing it because it's just such a good vibes thing to do, and it motivates everyone, and they feel less invisible, and they feel that they are being acknowledged and seen, and that their contribution is put in the spotlight. People love that. I mean, even you would love that, even if it's not in a workplace setting. If someone gets acknowledged or recognized for the work that they do, it's such a good feeling. So it's also a good way to engage your team. It's also a good way to retain your best people. So it could be as simple as that. And once in a while, you can maybe even do something crazier, like raffle off, a Starbucks card for everyone who gets a kudos that week or something like that. So you can go crazy on that. Next tip is separate deep work and collaboration time. So encourage your team, and this, I guess, a tip for you too. As a CEO or as a founder, you do have a lot of different types of tasks. Like as the owner, you might have some marketing tasks, some sales tasks, some PR tasks, so many things. You might even have travel on there. So I want you to encourage your team to also protect their blocks of focus time, keep that Slack closed, keep that email closed, and they can also schedule certain collaboration windows. Efficiency really explodes when you do this, and it provides a clear separation for both of these things. A lot of things just get done if you just commit to deep work. And of course, sometimes you need collaboration, so there just needs to be proper delineation of both. And that's how the best remote teams really work, and how they treat their time in terms of treating it as an investment of the blocks that they have in their day. Tip number 15, don't skimp on tools. So for the longest time, I've seen people just, trudge along with Google Sheets instead of using a real CRM, or try to all of their tasks on Slack instead of having a paid proper project management platform. So sometimes, a $30 a month tool can save you 30 hours of headache. Documentation, there's also a lot of like AI tools right now that can really help you. So I would say invest in the right stack. This might require you to talk to maybe an operations consultant or someone who's really, really good at automations, but investing in those things is always a good idea because you're protecting the most important resource, which is the time and the motivation of your team. So only the best remote teams will, finish first, basically. And sometimes they only get to do that if they have the right tools and if they've invested in the right automations. Tip number 16, create redundancy in terms of documenting everything and cross-training people. So that is the only redundancy that I would encourage. So one example for this is our operations manager or our operations team. They're very well versed at client success. They know every part of the contract, of the process. And at the same time, our client success teams, because they only want the best for the clients and they're the ones that really takes care of the client experience, they're also very good recruiters now. They know how to interview according to the client's needs. And so a lot of these skills are actually redundant, right? And the way that we do this is so if someone is absent or if someone is taking time off, there is someone else that can take on their role, even if it's just temporarily. So I always make sure that there is no risk of having just one key person who, where everything just depends on them. So I don't want that to happen. I want to have other plan Bs and other layers of security, and just the mere fact that something could get done if we want it to get done. Number 17, and my last tip, is as a leader, this is for you, lead with empathy and scale with systems. Your team isn't just labor. These people are humans. These are humans that have committed to at least a third of their life if they're working with you for full time. 8 hours out of 24 hours is literally a third. So these people are committing a third of their life so that you can achieve the vision that you want and the freedom that you want and the business that you have planned for and the solutions that you want to give to work with the people that you want to work with. These are the people who made that choice to help you out with this. And yes, you're paying the money, you're also helping them out, but these people have their own visions, have their own dreams, but they are devoting a third of their life to yours. So respect and structure are when these two things come together, that is when remote teams actually thrive. And that's and thriving teams, that's what really makes a well-managed and peaceful and very, very profitable online business. So those are my 17 tips. I hope that you learned something. I don't need you to memorize all of those things, but maybe you picked up one or two things that will really help grow your online business. So if you need more tips and if you want to be first in getting all of this advice for managing remote teams, hiring amazing people, and growing your online business through outsourcing, definitely hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next week for another amazing video.